Maybe. Okay, so our theme for the month is open communication. You know, and is there a picture? Yeah. I don't like it, take it down. Thank you. I don't like that picture. Never mind. So the value that we're looking at this year, or this month, is that we communicate openly with each other in an atmosphere of collaboration and inclusion. So if someone really loves that picture, we'll put it back. I'm including you, but I want my own way. Okay. Rev Madeleine was using a book called Gracism all month, and I haven't read it. So I'm not going to use it. But it's cool because it's grace. Is such an amazing concept. It's that favor that God extends to us just because we're here, just because we exist. You have to do nothing to be in grace. So you experience that. You don't have to deserve it. Yeah, nothing. You're breathing, you're here. And Maxine's in grace too. It transcends time. So what we talk about in Gracism is to take that and extend that grace to anybody else in the whole world, no matter what color, race, creed, culture, anything that they are. And one of the ways that we do that is we share our stories and we listen to their stories. Because when you know somebody and you listen to them and you meet them, they're no longer the other. You're one with them. You're shared humanity. And our stories have similar lines and, love, hate, fear, joy, all those things enwrapped in our stories. And the wholeness and the oneness and the unity that is us is always expressing. And it does so on the micro level, which is you and like Julia and I connecting eye to eye. And it does so in the collective as well. So we've got multi-level things going on all the time. And our task is to end the polarization that we have within ourselves, because I have, this idea, and they are mutually exclusive. And the polarization within the collective, within the larger body. It could be in here. It is certainly expressing in Washington. It is expressing in our country. So what our task is to integrate again, to really collect all of ourselves within individuals and also on a larger scale. So doing that is part of our journey. And it's a conscious evolution. And to do that conscious evolution, we cannot exclude anyone, any idea, anybody, because it's all here. And sometimes I don't understand the reason why it's here, but I trust and have faith and spirit knowing that it is important. Otherwise, it wouldn't exist. So Ernest Holmes, and I'm going to read it better so I can say it. Okay. He tells us, the thing that shall establish unity is that each family group of grace shall respect the individual differences of others, while at the same time cooperating with them. We each have an individual part to play in the great scheme of things. And the most valuable thing anyone can do is to be a little more certain each day that he or she is meeting life with a deeper understanding and sympathy for others, with a greater sense of love. With a greater sense of love. So it's meeting yourself and meeting others from that oneness of love. So my journey this week has been interesting, but one of the things that I shared my journey with is the storytelling and the healing process and tending our dreams. I don't know how many of you dream. I do a lot of dream tending. That's one of my things. But I want to remind you of some stories. And to do that, I'm taking you back to my childhood, which I suspect a lot of you share this piece of it. How many of you have ever watched The Wizard of Oz on television? Has anyone not done it? No, I'm not going to. It's like, hello, that was part of growing up. Now, for me, I enjoyed it and thought it was great, but I struggled a little bit because we had a black and white television. And yeah, you guys are getting it. So I would go to school and people would talk about the horse with that changed colors. And I'm going, I didn't see that. Because when we get to Oz, it's like still black and white. And that was a problem. So one of the things I found out in my research this week is that they painted those horses with Jell-O. So the yellow and the purple and the blue and all that stuff. And so when they were filming, they had to do it really quick because the horses would start licking themselves because it's Jell-O. Maxine would have loved that. Because, yeah, the horses are not stupid. It's like sugar and, it's good stuff. But I never got to see that. I mean, I saw it yesterday because I watched the movie yesterday. And I would recommend watching the movie again. It's on Amazon Prime, so it's free if you have Prime. So, yeah. So the horses, they all changed color. Yeah, it was cool. But that was like a big deal. And nowadays, I can go to Amazon Prime and watch it for free. I don't have to wait for it to come on a black and white television once a year. I think that's progress. You think that's progress? I think it's progress. So you've got the Wizard of Oz, and then you've got the Wiz, which was all black cast, doing, Michael Jackson, Diana Ross. I never saw the movie, but wow. So that's an inclusion. That's like the story is more universal. It can include everybody. So I'm going to take you down the yellow brick road a little bit in a metaphysical way, because it really is a spiritual quest. Going down, it's an expedition to the inner reaches of yourself and all aspects of yourself, and the self-actualization, reaching for your heart's desire. And it happens on an internal level as well as the macro level, because you've got lions and tigers and bears, and the Tin Man and Scarecrow. So you've got all different kinds of beings, and they're all included and accepted. And so, of course, we've got Dorothy. So Dorothy is us. Well, they're all us, but Dorothy's us. And she is connected with everyone, but she's looking for something. She's a little confused. She's a little in need of help. She's learning. She's growing. She's expanding. And so let's continue doing that. And then Toto, of course. Toto is the intuition, that inner guide, the wise one, the little dog. The little dog is the wise one. And I'm thinking some of you will maybe remember the story, because I'm not going to go through all the story, because you guys know the story. And if you don't, come back up here later and I'll tell you the story. And then she sings about over the rainbow. And so the rainbow is the unlimited possibility of the future. What's going to unfold? What more is there out there that I don't know about? And at this point in the film, she's still in black and white. Actually, it's sepia now. That's a very fancy name. But yeah, it's embracing that willingness to change. There's a new way. There's something else out there, something new. And then, of course, the cyclone. What is the cyclone? The cyclone is that event within or without that shakes you up, that gets your attention, that says, oh, it's time to shift, it's time to change, it's time to grow. And now your reaction to that may be, oh, blank, or it may be, oh, good. What is it? Another blah, blah, blah opportunity to grow. But that's what cyclones are. It symbolizes that stuff happens. Stuff happens. It really does. And then, of course, she lands in Munchkin land. So Munchkin is when we're little. We're innocent. Everything's great. Okay, I just look. They had these cute little houses. They had little eggs. Everything was colorful. And they just, they live, they don't judge. They are quick to forgive. And they live in a state of consistent wonder and awe. It's like, wow, look at that. And they're joyful. They were singing and dancing and celebrating the whole time you're in Munchkin Land. Yeah, I can see some of you are there. Yeah, it's cool. And they have giant lollipops. Nice. Yeah, not that I would eat it, but they do have. And then Glenda the Good Witch shows up, and she's another guide. We all have guides, little angels that help us along the way. And so you've got the Good Witch. And then, of course, the Wicked Witch of the West shows up. She's really misunderstood. And she is part of us. She's that shadow self, that part of us that may have a little darkness in it and may have light that we don't know about, which is also in the shadow. But it's also, limiting beliefs, the fear, the doubts, all the things that crop up that get in the way of our journey. You know, things that when we step out to grow and learn, stuff's going to happen. And that's what she symbolizes for us. And the other thing that Ernest Holmes reminds us of, is the thought of judgment, criticism, and condemnation must, in time, operate against the one who sets it in motion. So by setting in motion the negative that she does, eventually it comes home to roost. So what we put out there is what returns to us. So I'd rather stay in Munchkin Land. Of course, Dorothy is looking to get home. So she's not going to be staying in Munchkin Land. Oh, before I forget, at the end, we all know what happens to the Wicked Witch. And the water symbolizes consciousness. So the light consciousness comes and destroys all the doubts and the fears and the upset. So it does come around. Excuse me. So the Yellow Brick Road is like, it's our spiritual path. We're all on the Yellow Brick Road, and we have challenges and turns and things that happen along the way, but we keep following. We've committed to going down the path. We're following the Yellow Brick Road. And then, of course, we come across a scarecrow. And the scarecrow is our mind. It's our mind. It's the right mind, the clear thinking, he gets confused. He's indecisive. He's making decisions. Do I go this way or do I go this way? In the movie, this makes sense. And you're at the intersection of the Yellow Brick Road because she came in one way and then there's 3 other directions to go. She doesn't know which one to go. And she's thinking, there are no talking scarecrows. But Toto totally gets it, the inner guide. So Toto's barking and saying, yeah, it's a scarecrow. Listen to me, listen to him. And then they join up, of course, because you're including, you're integrating. So it's a talking scarecrow. It's a different kind of being that I didn't know. But I listened to his story and I included him. He joined me. And then, of course, they trot off down the road and they're hungry. We all get hungry. So she goes and picks an apple. I don't know how many of you remember this scene. And the apple trees start yelling at her and talking to her and hitting her and all that stuff. Yeah, because they're beings too. Everything's a being. Everything is alive with spirit. And the tree proceeds to tell her how rude she is by plucking an apple off of it. And then so they wander off. And the scarecrow goes, nah, 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 to the trees. And the trees start heaving the apples at them. So really, everything is supplied. You just need to ask for it in a different way. And then they find the Tin Man. And the Tin Man, of course, is the heart. The Tin Man's the heart. He wants his heart. And there's a part of us that if our heart is closed down, it's painful. So opening our hearts, following our hearts, and then joining our hearts with our minds and living in perfect alignment. How powerful that is. How loving that is. So, of course, they invite the Tin Man along as well. So again, you're integrating, you're going in. And you need to join your heart, your mind, and your inner guide to meet the challenges of life. So we've got Toto, we've got Tin Man, and we've got Scarecrow. So we're integrating all these beautiful pieces of us, as they do in the movie. And then we go on and on and on. The other thing is that we've got courage. The cowardly lion shows up. And it's like, okay, I've got all these things, but I need to move forward. I need to go where I've never gone before. Sounds like Star Trek. All these stories, there's such a richness in all these stories. And so the lion comes in, and the lion is afraid. And the lion, first off, is very aggressive to the Scarecrow and the Tin Man. And it's like, scaring him. And they're cowering, and they're like this. And then he starts going after the dog, and Dorothy gets incensed. And Dorothy pops him in the nose. She pops the lion in the nose when he proceeds to start crying because he was all a facade. So what's the true thing? And then he becomes real. He becomes true, and he too is integrated into the pool. So all of us have that courage within us, but we also have fears within us. And fears, it's natural. It's part of being alive because it protects us. If there's a real lion walking through here, it would get my attention, and I would be I'm a little afraid. I think I should leave, do something, or whatever. It's like it's a mechanism that's there for our good as well. So fear is not a bad thing. Fear is something to recognize and then do something about. And it depends on what kind of fear, what the situation is, but fear happens. It's a fact of life, and we can overcome it. There's, you know what? That's another talk. I'll talk about fear because I have a lot to say about that. So we won't do it today. But it's powerful, and it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. But having the courage to go forward and then through that, it takes heart. The cœur, which is French for heart, which is the root of courage. Okay, and then how many of you guys remember, you probably remember, the poppy field? Yeah, it's like, okay. You lie down in it because you've already done so much work. You've integrated, you've done all these things, and it's like, and the Emerald City is right there. But I think I'll take a rest. Of course, it's the Wicked Witch. It's all your fears and doubts coming up that it's not accomplishable, that you can't do it. But the Scarecrow and the Tin Man, the heart and the mind are still awake, while the lion and Dorothy go to sleep, and Toto goes to sleep. So they call for help from Glenda the Good Witch. And that's when the snow comes, which I was horrified to learn in the movie was asbestos. So we've made progress there too. I know it. Can you? Anyway. But the heart and the mind are awake and alive and get them up and going again because they screamed for help. And it's not a bad thing to ask for help. If you need help, you need assistance, you need support, ask for it. The universe will supply it. You don't know what form it'll come in, but the universe it always shows up. It always shows up. And then, of course, they do make it to the Emerald City. And the wizard is a big old fake, as you all know. I hope no one doesn't know the story. I just screwed it all up for you. But anyway, so they're seeking the wizard because they think the wizard, the external force, can solve their problems. But if they're going to seek Oz, Oz is love, light, creativity. It's that internal spirit within us. It's not an external God or external anything. There's nothing out there. It's us. So the transcendent power is within all of you. You already have it. The key, of course, is for us to believe, to know, to have faith that we have that. And that there are wizards in the world that are wicked, and they're drunk on power and greed and all sorts of things. And there are also beautiful wizards, like my husband, who can fix my computer. He just like waves his hands over it. Because I will go and do something, and then he will come along and do exactly the same thing, and it works for him. He's a wizard. He knows this. He knows this. So, yeah. And of course, in the end, the wizard doesn't help Dorothy, because the balloon takes off and she's run off after her dog, which is her inner guide and her intuition, which sets up the end so that Glenda the Good Witch can come in and let her know that she had the power all along. She could click those ruby slippers, which were silver in the book, but anyway, ruby shows up better in Technicolor. She had the power all along. And the Scarecrow goes, well, why didn't you tell her back that in Munchkin Land? Because she wouldn't have believed. She wouldn't have known. She wouldn't have gotten it. She needed to do the spiritual journey to integrate it, incorporate it, and believe it. Yeah. And so Ernest Holmes reminds us that each soul is some part of the whole. It is impossible that any soul can be lost. We're all one. We're all here. We're all together. And so we're integrating ourselves, heart, mind, body, intuition, all of our parts. And our task or our mission is to integrate in a bigger scale as well. So we're doing it in the micro level within ourselves and the macro level within the all and the bigger in the country. And you awaken ourselves first, because that's where you have more power, more control, is in yourself. And then you can support and accept the grace that others will change or shift as well, because people do change and shift. And the other thing is to tell your story. Connect with someone. Listen to their story. Listen to what journey they're on. Because you may see someone and make a snap judgment, like scarecrows don't talk. But then when you hear the story, everything makes sense and it shifts. The old cliche, you cannot judge a book by its cover. You cannot. You don't know what's there. You don't know what they've gone through. So communicate through stories, through myth, and keep doing it. Have faith and know that the grace that is everywhere present through spirit is available to you. It's a favor that is granted to you. It's not something that you need to do. Or it's not a ticket or a punch card or a key that you didn't get at birth. Everyone got it. We all have it. We live in grace. So let's do our affirmation together. It's in the bulletin. I'm not sure what page it is. Oh, there we go. My thoughts and story support wholeness, unity, and love. My thoughts and stories support wholeness, unity, and love. My thoughts and stories support wholeness, unity, and love. Namaste.